Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I commented the presentation slide that we'll be following for today's lecture, inshallah. So let's get started, inshallah. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. If you guys can hear me clearly or not, let me know, inshallah. But today's discussion is going to be on too much haterade. So it's the last lecture of the series. Alhamdulillah, we've come a long way, and inshallah, our efforts are accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the organizers who's been doing it, for those who have been attending, and I have to be selfish, of course, myself counting for the time that I'm giving. I hope that all of our efforts are accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To actually start something and finishing it all the way through, even with the virus happening, even with all the restrictions around us, the fact that the Dearborn MSA organizers still push through. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So Allah reward the organizers. I mean, we'll get started. So the discussion is on too much haterade. So if you guys are following the slides, day number 10, the final day, again on Riyadh al-Salihin, Kitab al-Adab. The first hadith that I'm going to mention is by Abdullah ibn Abu Awfa radiallahu anhu. He said that Messenger of Allah ﷺ gave glad tidings to Khadija radiallahu anha about a palace of hollowed pearls in Jannah, free from noise and toil. Bukhari and Muslim. And then a second hadith I want to talk about, next slide, which I have titled as Basics of a Believer. So we're going to talk about two hadiths in this lecture, inshallah. The second one is Aisha radiallahu anha. She reported that Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he was used to using his right hand for performing wudu and eating his food, whereas he was used to using his left hand in his toilet and for other similar purposes. And so, how do these two hadiths kind of tie in? What's the purpose of it? How does it relate to too much haterade? That's all in the next slide, inshallah, the sixth slide in the presentation. And what I want to highlight and really capture is the message of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to his beloved wife, Khadija radiallahu anha. He's telling her that, listen, when you enter Jannah, you're going to have this palace that's made out of hollowed pearls with no noise and toil. So understand this. Usually when people give a reference to Jannah to invite some sort of light into your mind or to bring some sort of hope into your life, the reason they do it is because they're trying to draw a contrast to what you're going through right now. What I mean by that is this. If you're going through a lot of hardships with finances, someone might say, don't worry, in Jannah, you get whatever you want and it's free. Right? It's a quick understanding to explain that. But in this situation, Rasulullah ﷺ is telling Khadija radiallahu anha that, look, in Jannah there is not going to be any sense of noise or toil. So what's happening? That means during that time in the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, there was a lot of harshness that was depicted and aimed towards the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, right? And his family. So what he was trying to do for her is to give her some hope, to make her understand, look, all this noise that you hear and you experience in this dunya, all this riffraff and people saying these things about us and people calling me a magician, a soothsayer, people saying things about us behind our back, all these things, all these insults that you're hearing, it'll be over one day. It'll be over one day. That's why the lecture today is called Too Much Haterade. What I want to do today, brothers and sisters, is I want to basically wrap up every topic we've discussed, and I want to basically illustrate how these topics or these subjects can come to us in a negative way where we might understand and say, hold on, this is all just noise in this dunya, and at one point all these noises will go away when we're in Jannah. So the first point in the slide being what? The first subject we covered, personality, being too quiet. That people are going to come to us with all this noise saying, why are you so quiet? Why is your personality so different? Why are you so shy? Why don't you hug the opposite gender? Why don't you come to the bar with us? Why are you so different than us? People will say all these things about us. And they will challenge us in so many ways to say that, hey, how come you're not doing this? How come your personality, how come the way you are is just so different? And we stand proudly and we stand happily and we stand with a sense of confidence to say that this is who I am as a Muslim. And I am just as good as a leader as you are. I am just as good as a student as you are. I am just as good as a doctor, engineer, whatever it is that you are. I am just as good, if not better. But this is the personality and the character that I choose to maintain. And this is how I will continue living my life. Right? So you're going to have all these noises, right, that come into your life. And what we need to understand is that this is all background noise. This is all background noise. For those of us who are in engineering and you're into software or electrical engineering, you know that you have filters, high pass filters and low pass filters, right? You got to filter out the noise. You have to filter out the noise. That you can't let these side things come in the way toward hitting your perfect note, toward hitting your trajectory to Jannah. You have to be focused. You have to be focused to realize that, look, someone's saying something about me, and maybe this group is doing something about me, and maybe this person wants to cause some harm towards me, regardless of what it is, regardless of that matter. It doesn't matter, because this is just noise. That what's awaiting for me, what the end goal of the entire picture of this dunya is Jannah. Just like the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told Khadija radiallahu anha that, look, when this is all over and done with, something amazing is waiting for you. That here he is with his wife in their small little humble homes, and he's telling her, don't worry, a palace is awaiting. Don't worry, a palace is awaiting. SubhanAllah, this is the idea, and this is the hope that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ brought into the life of his wife. So I want to talk about the next thing, right? The next thing is talking about rumors, slanders, and backbiting, right? These things came up from which lecture? If you guys think about it, if you guys go back to the lecture on wow, she's out there, right? That we talked about how people look at people differently and have all these comments, and people bring up people's past mistakes. That it could be that you and I have past mistakes, and that someone finds out about them, or someone hears about them, or someone was a part of our life during that phase when we made mistakes in the past. And what they might do is they might bring it back to you. Maybe you and I, we have changed. Maybe you and I, we've become better people. Maybe you and I, we're trying to let go of the things, of the mistakes we've made in the past, because we just want to be better. We just want to improve. We just want to be good Muslims. And to be honest, we made mistakes and we admit it. But that's not the person we are anymore. But people, they'll come with noise. They'll come with a lot of noise. And they'll bring it back up, right? And to say, oh, I'm referring to this lecture we covered when we said, wow, she's out there. Oh, remember how she was in high school? Or remember how she was in college? Remember what he used to do when he used to go outside on Friday nights? And these things will come up. People will give you all these kind of noises. And they'll come and they'll start critiquing you. And they'll start insulting you. And there will be backbiting and slander. I categorized each bullet point because they have different focuses. Each bullet point has a different focus. So this one is specifically talking about rumors, it's talking about slanders, it's talking about backbiting. That when people are specifically saying negative things about you based on your mistakes or your flaws, or maybe they seem to be flaws, they are apparent as flaws, perhaps they're not. People maybe misunderstood them, but now they're holding on to them. They're holding on to a misunderstanding, and they're basically making it into a big deal to show that this is really who this person is. That maybe you and another person had a exchange that didn't go the way you expected, and now they're looking at you saying, oh, this is how they are, this is how she is, she just happens to be very rude, he's just very he's just very not well kept, he's always flirting, or she's always doing this, she never wears the hijab, or he never prays. You have all these things just being thrown at you while you yourself are doing whatever you can, because you know you're struggling to pray, because you're like, I'm not used to praying. Maybe I'm not used to praying. And I finally wanted to pray this year. I wanted to start this year. Maybe I wanted to change this Ramadan, and it's coming up. But people keep discouraging me. People keep demotivating me. Maybe I wanted to wear the scarf this year. Maybe I thought about it, and maybe I used to wear the scarf, I stopped, or I never wore it because nobody in my family wears it. Maybe it's not in my family culture, and if I were to wear it, I would be standing out, and then my mom might feel a certain way. Whatever the reason may be. Maybe I don't feel so comfortable because of the people around my life, the way they've made me seem. Whatever it may be. And now I wanted to try, and then people are just holding me back to say, who are you to try? Who are you to pray? And who are you to put your scarf on? This is nobody. You're nobody. This is how you used to be. This is who you really are. And what they try to do is they're trying to take your past or whatever your flaws were or your mistakes or your shortcomings, and they're trying to define you as a person through those few things that may have happened. They're trying to keep you in that same box, in that corner, trapped, to say that you can't leave this position. Whatever we saw you as, whoever we saw you as in the past, whatever mistake you made, this is the person you are. And today I want to tell you that is not who you are. That is not who you are. You are defined by however Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines you. You are defined by yourself calling yourself a Muslim. You are defined by every step of improvement you take towards becoming a better servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how you are defined. So when people come at you and you see your own friends, maybe you see your own family members, maybe you see your teammates or your work, or your peers, or the people working with you, everyone coming around to say what? To say, oh, this is how this guy is, right? This is how this person is. This is their behavior. This is just the way that they are, and they're indefinitely defining you. It's incorrect. That's also going to be a type of noise that you will encounter in this world. That people will come at you with these types of noise to say that this is who you are, and they'll try to define you by their words. And you have to remember, and I have to remember, that's not true, and that's not the case. The fact of the matter is that we are defined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So this is another part of noise that will enter our lives. And I'm going to go by each lecture by lecture, or each subject by subject, just to explain a little bit. So if you actually have been following throughout every lecture, maybe I'll connect back a little bit, right? In the past, inshallah. Okay, the next thing. It was about the Matrimonial Students Association, right? This also comes as noise into our life. Noise is not just what you hear, but also what you experience. And it envelops in your heart, right? So I talked about two types of things, right? One being the fact of heartbreaks, and one being proposals, right? Whether people do things correctly or people do things incorrectly, it doesn't change anything. People still have their hearts broken. There are people who do their best to follow the Quran and Sunnah, and they do their best to pursue what is right in Islam, and they send out either proposals or they want to get married, and they do their best. They do everything they're supposed to do. They do it by the book. Not one mistake has been passed. Not a second look has been taken. None of that. And they still get their heart broken, and that happens. And the other happens too, where people don't follow anything by the books. They don't do anything like they're supposed to. They do whatever they want to do, whatever their desires tell them to do, and they go ahead and do that. And they allow shaitan to overtake, and they fall, and they make mistakes, and they slip, and they come to a point where they become heartbroken. And this happens through relationships, right? But in both cases, again, this is referring to the lecture from Matrimonial Students Association. In both cases, a sense of hardship is felt in the heart, right? And that does not change. Now, the reasonings can be different. Yes, the reasonings can be different. One person chose a halal path, and they did their best, and their heart is broken. One person chose a haram path, and their heart is broken. Nonetheless, the end point is the same. The end point is the same, whereas the heart is broken, right? We talked about different types of noises. The people will challenge you on your personality. People will challenge you on your past mistakes. And they will try to define you. They will try to define your future by your past mistakes. And now we're talking about the people who will emit noise towards you in your life in terms of heartbreak and proposals, right? It could be that the person that broke your heart, or the person that neglected or rejected your proposal, made you feel a certain way. Right? Maybe the brother or sister came off and they responded in a very harsh manner. Maybe their parents came off in a very harsh manner. Whatever it may be, whatever the circumstances may be. Maybe you've had a long relationship and then it somehow broke off. Whether it was impermissible or not, that's what I'm discussing, right? The fact of the matter is that this is a type of noise that enters people's lives, especially college students, right? That you kind of go through this, and you have to remember this is also noise. This is also noise, the noise that comes into your own mind. This noise is developed by you in your own thoughts when you're in heartbreak, and when you're thinking, and when your mind is thinking. This noise does not come from other people, whether the rejection happened or not, whether a relationship broke or not. The end point, the noise that comes, is not from the other person, because that person may have left your life, or that person never entered your life, right? In the case of a haram relationship, it breaks off and the person leaves your life. In the case of a halal proposal, they never entered your life. Nonetheless, what ends up happening is the same thing. We end up enveloped in our own thoughts at the end of the day. We are left to our own selves to say, how do I deal with it when I've done everything that I'm supposed to, subhanallah, and I've done all the right steps. How do I deal with that? And you will have noise that comes from yourself, right? You will create your own noise sometimes. And you have to realize, listen, I have to filter out this noise. That yes, this noise exists. Just like I talked about the electrical engineers earlier, right? This noise exists in this frequency, but I have to filter it out. If I can filter out this noise, whatever is above this line, I can cancel out. Whatever is below this line, I can keep it. And this is what I need to keep to stay focused in my life. Because if I don't keep this, I can't move on with my life. The more I allow this noise to pass through my filter, it will interject and it will interfere with everything that I'm trying to do. And this right here is my life, is my day-to-day life. This is my day-to-day life, right? So when I let this noise come through my filter, and I remove my filter, and it comes into my day-to-day life, I can't carry out my daily activities. And that's why a heartbreak can go a long way. That's why a proposal, a broken proposal, or even whatever the case may be, can go a long way to interfere with our daily activities. As students are struggling at school now, that they can't focus in school, they can't focus at work, they can't focus in their internships, they can't focus on their research, they can't focus on their exams. It's struggling. It's real. It happens. It definitely happens. But it happens with the realization that you and I have to understand this is all a type of noise, right? Another form of noise. And it's very important we understand that. Another point, the second point, the hypocritical behavior. Now, I talked about, this is from the lecture, What a Hypocrite, if you guys remember. In this lecture, we talked about the four signs of hypocrisy and how we can become hypocrites, right? But I want you to understand that noise will come from people who are actual hypocrites in your life. So those people who actually have these characteristics and these traits, right? They are people who will make promises to you and they will break it. There are people who will take your trust and they will break that trust. There are people who will tell you something as if it is true, but then they are lying. If you guys can remember these signs from the lecture a long time ago, this is what we were talking about. There are people who do these things. That there are people who will argue with you just for the sake of arguing, and they will be obnoxious and they will be arrogant, and they won't even listen to what you have to say, and you will have to deal with these people in your life. Don't think that you can just get away with it. There are many of us who want to avoid confrontation, and life doesn't work like that. Life never works in a sense that you can avoid confrontation. I understand that, yes, at home, family, maybe you might be stuck with your parents or your siblings or your spouses or your kids, but you kind of have to confront them. But some of us think that, no, beyond that, I don't have to deal with anybody else. That's incorrect. As a believer, as a Muslimah, our obligation is to perform acts of da'wah, to actually go out there and call people to Islam. When we want to do these things and when we go out of our way to reach out to the people in our community, we have to confront people. We will be confronted by people of so many different backgrounds, so many different styles, and so many different personalities, right? And we have to cater to each and every one of those people. You and I cannot just sit back at home and say, that's it, I only want to deal with the people I want to deal with. Anybody else, that's not my problem. We can't work like that. As da'is, we can't work like that. As organizers, for the MSA organizers on the board who may be watching right now, or future organizers, right? As organizers, as activists, right? As students of knowledge, as talib al-ilm, as all these types of identities we hold, we cannot just sit back and say that I'm not going to have to confront people who have signs of hypocrisy. I'm not saying you will confront hypocrites. Again, I'm clarifying the difference by saying that you and I will confront people who have signs of hypocrisy. So they will lie to us. They will break our trust. They will be obnoxious and rude to us when they're arguing. They will raise their voice. They won't really say what really means, what really has value. They'll just say what they want to say, right? How do you deal with that? You realize it's also noise. That however people are talking to you, that yes, this person is talking to me, yes, this person broke my trust, yes, this person lied to me, and this goes into that noise category, above that filter, that I cannot let it go past this filter to come into my life, that I cannot let it impact me so much so that it breaks through my filter to come to a point where it interjects in my daily activities. I cannot, and I will not, right? So no matter how many times you lie to me, no matter how many times you break my trust, it doesn't mean I'm going to be naive. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying be naive. But no matter how many times you lie to me or you break my trust, or no matter how many times you argue with me rudely, whatever the case may be, that I'm not going to let it impact me so much so that it takes away my focus, my vision towards the end goal, which is the palace of hollowed pearls. In the example of the hadith, the Prophet Muhammad said to Khadija radiallahu anha that I want my palace. And if I want to get my palace, I have to ignore the noise in this dunya. And if I want to ignore the noise in this dunya, I have to realize, first of all, what that noise is. If you and I don't know what the noise is, then we can't really cancel it out. If you and I can't distinguish what's below this filter and what's above this filter, then it will be as if there is no filter. And that's why a lot of us become so confused and we become so rattled in trying to figure out how to deal with life. Because we're struggling to say that, okay, what part is really important and what part is really not important. See, whatever is below this filter will take you to the Jannah. It will take you to the gardens. It will take you to paradise. It will take you to your palace. Now, whatever is above this filter will stop right here at your grave. And it will go no further. So all those people talking to you, all those people talking about your personality, all those people talking about why you're so quiet, all these people shaming you, all these people talking about your past mistakes, what you used to do in the past, what you used to wear, who you used to be with, what you used to do with the club or whatever you might have done, all these people talking about all these thoughts you're having in your head about your heart being broken or proposals not going the right way, all these thoughts and concerns that come into your life, all these noises, all these forms of speech that come, people backbiting, people gossiping, people lying, people insulting, you have to put it above the filter and say, this is all noise. This is all noise of this dunya. And if I cannot perceive it as so, then I will struggle. Definitely I will struggle, because I won't know what the real deal is. And what will happen is I will let this noise infiltrate into my life, and this noise will become my life. And that's when it gets very troublesome, because then we don't know how to move forward, because we see this noise holding us back. That every insult someone says, it triggers us back to that one insult we heard 5 years ago. Every time someone looks at us a certain way, it reminds us of a way we were judged one day. I'm not saying people don't make mistakes. I'm not saying people aren't doing wrong things. There are bad people out there. People make mistakes, and people are very much of doing wrong things. I'm not neglecting any of that. But what I'm saying is, regardless of that, if you and I cannot expect, and if you and I don't set the standard high enough to say that we can live our lives throughout this noise, then we won't reach Jannah. We have to tell ourselves that these things will happen. I am expecting it to happen. When it happens, or if it happens, I will definitely push through it to say that this noise cannot stop me. That I will filter out this noise and keep pushing regardless of who is saying what. Regardless of who is saying what about me. That if I wanted to today, that this Ramadan, I've been waiting for so long, Ramadan's coming in about what, April, March 30th, less than a month from now, Ramadan's starting, that I want to start praying my prayers. I've never prayed, or I stopped praying. I want to start praying again. I want to put the scarf back on again. I want to go to a halaqah. I want to go to a lecture. I want to learn about Islam again. I want to do something. Then you do it. Then you do it. You don't wait. You don't let the noise drown you to a point where you feel like maybe it's not worth it. No, you are worth it. You're definitely worth it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said you're worth it, right? If you are His slave and you're a Muslim, you're a believer, and you're breathing, you're definitely worth it. To say that I want to do something today, that regardless of what's happening, regardless of my past, regardless of my personality, regardless of how people may see me or how I see myself, I know I can improve, and I know I can live through the noise, because my end goal is the palace in paradise. My end goal is the palace in paradise. And we have to think that way, right? The next point, it was talking about when you're a broke college student. If you guys remember that lecture, right? Talking about noise that come through a lack of money, so financial troubles. A lot of people experience this, right? A lot of people experience a lot of heartbreaks, and a lot of people experience financial troubles. A lot of people experience both, and these are very real problems that we face in this life. To say that I'm going through a financial crisis right now, that I can't even catch up to my bills. I have so much that I owe. I have so much in debt. I don't know how to catch up, and I have interest that I have to pay off, right? And you're feeling stuck. You have no way to get out of it. And this comes from the internal thoughts, right? This comes from the internal thoughts. And beyond that, what do you see? You see noise coming your way from external thoughts. What are external noise? External noise is when you get another credit card. Right? Another sign comes your way to say, hey, why don't you just sign up? Why don't you just do this? Why don't you just sign up for this to make some quick money? Why don't you just play the lottery? Some of us who are watching this lecture right now, you're like, why would I play the lottery? The amount of Muslims who actually play the lottery is actually significant. We just think, just because you and I don't play the lottery doesn't mean it's not real. A lot of Muslims play the lottery. And it's not just because it's fun. A lot of people are struggling financially. So sometimes they feel that this is the only way out. A lot of people gamble. So many Muslims gamble. You want to see Muslim youth gamble? Turn on the Super Bowl, right? Turn on the NBA, turn on March Madness. So many kids, so many youth are gambling. They put in so much money into it. And whether they're in financial troubles or not, this is happening. But when this lecture was talking about struggles of money, when you had a lack of money, remember? And I said that charity is not dependent on money. Charity is not dependent on money. It's on what you do. That when you wake up in the morning, you can give charity by praying Salatul Duha. Right? If you guys remember that lecture. So what's the noise that we're talking about here? The fears in your heart. The fear and the internal thoughts in your heart that you can't catch up to your debt. Look, simple. Whatever debt you have, this is a side note, whatever debt you have, you lay it out first of all. You create a budget for yourself. You understand what your expenses are. You understand how much money is incoming, and you figure out how much you're actually putting out. And obviously, if you're in debt, you're going to have a negative amount every month. You set up payment plan, you figure out where the highest interest rates are, you kill it off one by one, and you do your best. Khalas. You do your best. Don't incur more debt. Don't add on more to your list. But whatever you have right now, just do your best to pay it off and make sincere istighfar to Allah. If you're dealing with interest, that Allah forgive us all for interest. Ameen. But if you're dealing with it, make a sincere plan that we can actually follow through and say, hold on, this is what I want to do. This is my steps, right? And though there's fear in my heart, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides rizq. That do not let the waswasa of shaitan come and tell you that if I don't do this haram thing to make money, then my family will struggle. No. You can do whatever you want. If Allah does not want it, your family will struggle. So it's not up to you and I. And this is a perfect example of this. The fact that we're in this pandemic with COVID-19 spread around the entire world. So many people have lost their jobs. Those who still have their jobs, they don't know if they'll be infected, or they don't know to what length their money will come to value, because just yesterday someone passed away that I know of. Just yesterday or today they passed away, 30 years of age, with no underlying disease whatsoever. They're young, 30 years, no underlying disease, guys, from the virus. Allah give them Jannah, Ameen. But from the virus. This is real. So we have to understand that, look, don't stress too much. Don't let shaitan's whispers get to you when you're in financial trouble so much that you freak out to an extent where you can't go on about your day, that you're always in worry, that when you're with your family, you can't smile because you're worried about the bills. Bills are very real. Just like a heartbreak is very real. Just like slander is very real. These are big things that we deal with in our day-to-day life. It's very real. But the day still continues. And the next day will come. And if Allah allows, another day will come. And until the day we return to Allah, that's how it's going to be. So I've mentioned different types of problems so far, right? One by one. And all of them are very real. And maybe one of them are very striking towards you in your life. I don't know. Maybe all of them are striking you in your life. I don't know. But know this. Allah says that no one will bear a burden they cannot bear. Right? Allah will not place a burden on anyone that they cannot bear. Allah will not give you anything that you cannot handle. So I don't know what you're struggling with right now. I don't know if they're struggling with people mocking your personality. I don't know if you're struggling with people bringing your past back in your present and saying this is who you are and making fun of you, or backbiting or slandering or insulting. I don't know if you're getting bullied by a group of people every single day by how you dress, how you look, how you wear, how you present yourself. I don't know if you have a heartbreak or not, if the proposals are not going well for you or not. I don't know if people are lying to you in your life, if people are breaking your trust every single day, if this is what's happening to you. I don't know if you're going through a lot of financial crisis or not. I don't know what's happening. But I can tell you that they all have the same thing. They're noise. They're not insignificant. They impact us very dearly. And they impact us greatly. But they're still noise. They're categorized as noise. Just like Prophet Muhammad told Khadija radiallahu anha, when you're in Jannah, you will not have any of this noise. You will be in paradise. You will be in your palace without any noise. Can you imagine someone giving a description of Jannah? Usually when you hear descriptions of Jannah, you hear things like, oh, you have all these palaces and you have all the fruits you want and the milk and the wine. Wine is okay there, right? The wine, whatever I want, everything I want, I can drink, I can eat. Before you think about it, it's there. Every bite you take of the fruit is a different taste. But have you ever heard of someone say, you won't hear any noise in Jannah? The Prophet ﷺ said it, right? Because that's how important and that's how much noise impacts us. That Jannah is free from noise. Jannah is free from the backbiting. Jannah is free from the slandering. Jannah is free from the insults. Jannah is free from all the negativity that you and I hear and have to face every single day. Jannah is free from all of that. And Rasulullah ﷺ is saying, look, Jannah will not have any of those issues. It will not have any of those issues. Continuing on, anger being tested, right? I have a few more left to keep talking about what we talked about throughout the semester, right? Because this is our final concluding lecture, inshallah. Our anger being tested, jokes being passed, and criticism during decisions, right? The last 3 lectures that we talked about. The people will test your anger, and people will be angry towards you. People will be angry towards you unreasonably. You have to believe that. You have to understand that. There is nowhere, it's not written anywhere that people will be mad at me reasonably. If you feel that way, I'm sorry, you're incorrect. There are people who act irrationally. There are people who act emotionally. People react. So these things happen. So for you to think people will not be angry at you unreasonably, it's foolish. People are people. We're humans, right? Even you yourself will find yourself acting, behaving angrily for no reason or irrationally. You'll have a reason, but it doesn't make sense, right? You'll be angry for no reason. You'll be like, you'll question yourself, why was I even angry about? Because you were triggered about something, or maybe you triggered somebody else about something, so they become angry. You have to understand that when people do become angry at you, what happens? People say things when they're angry, right? A lot of people say things when they get angry. A lot of people say a lot of things that they regret as soon as they're angry. That after the anger is done and settled, they come back and they say, you know what? I am very sorry for saying these things, right? I should not have said those things. I was not thinking clearly. I was not in the right state of mind. I was just having a bad day, and this happened and that happened and blah, blah, blah. And I went off on you. I'm very sorry, right? And at that point, it's very hard for you to actually forgive. It might be hard for you to forgive somebody, to say that, oh yeah, that's fine, man. I didn't mind that you just cussed me out. That's okay. That's cool. I'm okay with you cussing me out whenever you want. No, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to say that, oh yeah, I was completely okay with that. I let it go. No, the people with big hearts will find it easy to let go. The people with big hearts find it easy to let go. So if you happen to be of those who are struggling to let it go, when people become irrationally angry, maybe it could be at your house. Maybe your dad gets mad at you for no, and you're like, why are you even mad at me? What did I even do? Your mom's yelling at you. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why are you yelling at me? Maybe you have an older sibling that's going off on you, right? This can happen. And you're like confused. You're like, why is this happening to me? I didn't even do anything wrong, right? You're thinking, look at the other one. He's done more wrong than me, right? And these emotions come, and they're very real, and it happens. But when people do realize, you and I have to understand that, look, those words they were saying when they were angry, those words were inspired by the one and only Shaitan, him. He inspired those words of negativity, those words that may have hurt your feelings, those words that may have made you feel like, man, why is this person just, I'm having a hard day too. Just because you're having a hard day doesn't take away my hard day. So for you to go off and for you to be angry at me, that's not right either. But as believers, we understand that whatever you said when you went off, brother or sister, whatever you were saying, however you were behaving, it was all above this filter. It was all noise. And I'm not letting it go down this filter. It's not passing this filter. No way. That I understand that you were angry. And you know what? I do forgive you. And you know what? I do let it go. Because my job is not to hold on to this moment of frustration that I felt and make it into a year of frustration, right? My job is not to hold on to grudges. As a believer, I want to let go of these things. So no matter how angry you get, or how much you may say to me, or whatever you might feel towards me, or whatever you might go off, maybe you even hit me, I'll still let it go. Because this is just noise. This is all just noise. It's inspired by Shaitan. Every single type of noise that I've mentioned in this lecture so far is all inspired by Shaitan. From the noise that comes from other people talking to us, from other people talking to other people about us, from us talking to ourselves in our own minds and thoughts, this is all inspired by Shaitan himself. It's all inspired by Shaitan. Anything negative in this dunya is inspired by Shaitan. Anything negative comes from Shaitan. Think about it. He's the one who's making you worry so much. He's the one who's making you doubt yourself. He's the one who's giving you insecurity issues. He's the one making you think, am I really, how much value do I have? What value do I have in this life? Can I really do something? Can I really improve? Can I be better? He's the one making other people think, hey, look at how terrible that person is. Hey, talk about them. Say something bad. Shaitan is causing all this. Shaitan is causing all this. Right? We have to understand that. Same thing with the second point. I'll go hand in hand. Jokes being passed. That when people do joke about you, and people do make fun of you, that no, it's not right if people make fun of you and they hurt your feelings. But I'm talking about as us who receive those jokes to understand. This is from I'm Dead, the lecture called I'm Dead, if you guys remember. We talked about jokes. That if people do come at you with this, that they're making these jokes and it hurts, or maybe it's really insulting or it triggers you, yes, you're entitled to your emotion 100%. Right? And you should let them know that, look, you should not be saying these things about me, or I don't appreciate what you're saying, or I don't find this funny. In fact, this is very hurtful. And go ahead and say that. But at that same time, when those jokes are happening, you can't really stop something midway, right? I mean, you can cut somebody off, but not everyone does that. So when that is happening, it might be very hard to take it. And at that point, again, you put your filter on again. You put your filter on again and say, this noise cannot go through this filter. That whatever I have going on, that no matter what joke you made towards me today, tomorrow when I wake up, my day is just the same. That your joke has no impact towards me. Your insult has no impact towards me. That my day will continue onward regardless of what you say and do. Because I have a purpose, and my goal, my end goal, is the palace in paradise. That's my end goal, the palace in paradise. And the last thing, of course, Criticism for making decisions, right? You guys have maybe heard this story before. I'll say it very quickly, just for everyone to understand that a man and a boy were walking with a donkey. They were traveling, right? So the man was walking, his son was walking, and the donkey was walking. People saw them and said, "Oh, look, they have a donkey. They're not using it. How foolish!" Then the man started riding the donkey. His son was walking. People came and said, "Oh, look, wow, how is he gonna let his son walk?" Right? When he's on the donkey, that's messed up, right? So then his son started his son was on the donkey and he wasn't on the donkey. So the man was walking, the son was on the donkey. People were like, "Wow, how disrespectful! The son is on the donkey, but the man is walking." And then they were both on the donkey. They were like, "You know what? Fine, let's just both go on the donkey. We'll travel." And people were like, "Wow, they're so cruel to that donkey. That donkey can't bear the weight." The moral of the story is this: no matter what you decide, there will always be critics. People will always critique you, regardless of your decision. So you can go through istishara and istikhara. You can do all of that. People will still critique you. You can go and seek. You can consult with people. You can go to the ulama. You can go and you can understand. And you can find reasoning and you can find ease in your heart in making a decision. And it will be the most logical decision that you could make. And it's the most suitable decision for you. And people will still come around somehow to say that, "Oh yeah, that wasn't that good of a decision." They'll find a flaw. They will find a flaw in what you decided, and this is very real. That no matter what you decide or how you want to live your life, right? So long as it's within the Quran and Sunnah, no matter how you want to live your life, someone will always come and say, "Yeah, but you could have done this. Yeah, but that wasn't that smart. That wasn't a good decision to make. Why'd you do that? You know, people, why'd you buy this house? There was a house that came on sale a month later. Well, I need the house right now, not a month later, right? Why'd you buy this car? The other car is nicer in red. Well, I can't afford a car in red. I can afford a car in white, whatever it might be." And these questions come, right? And you're like, well, don't worry. At that point, right, you have to identify that, look, this is also noise. It's also noise that people are just critiquing your decisions, and people will do this all throughout your life, right? This will happen, no doubt, that people will come and say, "Yeah, this kid didn't make a good decision. He should have picked a different career. He should have picked a different degree. Yeah, he should have gotten a different house. He should have married somebody else. He should have went to this masjid. He should have dressed like this. He should have said this in the lecture." People will find everything about what you do, and they will give a point about it to say why you should have done something else. And were you to do that, they will tell you otherwise. That's how people are, right? So you have to understand, look, when these critiques come your way, so long as I have done my istikhara, so long as I have done my istishara, so long as I have consulted, I have asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I have done everything I can in my capacity, right? And I'm carrying out my actions. When people start critiquing my decisions, it has to stay above the filter. That it can't go below the filter for me to say, "You know what, no, it's okay. Let me reconsider." You don't reconsider. You decided. You move forward with your decision. You don't reconsider. You decided, you move forward with your decision. Otherwise, you will live your life second guessing yourself all throughout your entire life. Like, "Oh, maybe I should have done this. Maybe I should have done that." And the hadith say, don't say if. Don't say if. If I had done this. If I had done that. Don't say if. If comes from shaitan to put a different thought in your head. If I had done this different in my life, then I would be doing this and I would be doing that and this, that, and I'm right here. No. Because there was a point in your life where you were very happy. And when you're very happy, you were not saying, "Oh, if I had done this, maybe I wouldn't be this happy." No, you were very happy at that point. You didn't ask the question if then. But when life became a little bit hard, now you start asking if. But I'm telling you that if your life is hard right now, at one point this hardship might go away. And then you'll be happy again, inshallah. And at that point you won't ask and say, "If I had done this differently," you'll say, "I'm so glad I went through that hardship because it made me stronger as a person. It developed my character. It developed my experience in this life. It developed myself as a Muslim. And now I'm here at this point." That if you and I can end up in Jannah, if you and I can reach the end point, regardless of the decisions we make in our life, so long as we get there, whether we make bad decisions or good decisions, so long as Allah allows us to enter Jannah from His mercy, I am telling you, not one person, not one of us, if we are in Jannah and may we be among Jannah, not one of us will say, "Oh, if I had done that." Because you would not, because you're in Jannah. But brothers and sisters, we cannot see that far right now. So it's very easy to say if right now. But I want you to just hold yourself. I want you to hold your ifs from your decisions, from your past decisions. Don't let the noise get to you. Don't let people get to you when they start critiquing your decisions, and just think for a second. Don't let your inner thoughts get to you and critique yourself, and just think for a second and wait and pause and maybe ponder and say that maybe this hardship that I'm going through right now will make me to a person that's better, who's suitable for Jannah to enter among the righteous. That's maybe who I will be one day. And maybe you and I can become that person one day, right? And our goal is to become that person one day, that Allah allows us to enter Jannah. Allah allows us to enter Jannah. We have to understand that. Very, very, very important point to understand, right? Because our end goal is the same. It's the palace of pearls. Now, on the last slide, which I'll cover before we conclude this lecture, is it's related to the second hadith. If you guys remember the second hadith was talking about what? The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to eat with his right hand. He used to do wudu with the right hand, right? And he used to use his left hand for the toilet. Why did I use that hadith? Because it's a very basic action. Because the question is this: if I have my end goal in Jannah and I have all this haterade in my life, I have all this hate that's coming into my life from all these types of people, from all these forms of noise that I have to deal with and I have to ignore and I have to get through and somehow persevere and push, how do I do it? Well, it's through the basics. And that's why I have this titled as Basics is Best. That whatever we do, that we just, listen, this is the last lecture, this is the last point of the last lecture, that we just carry out our manners throughout the day. That we just leave it to the fundamentals. That we bring everything down to the wire of just saying, look, if I myself, as a Muslim man or a Muslim woman, if I myself can just follow the basic instructions and the basic etiquettes in this religion, and I am consistent with doing so, inshallah, I can be among those righteous people in Jannah. That inshallah, I can be with Khadija radiallahu anha when she's in Jannah and I am in Jannah with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there is no noise, there is no negativity, there is no hardship, there is no financial crisis, there is no heartbreaks, there is no hypocrites, there is no angry person yelling at me. None of that is happening. No one's making fun of me. Nothing is happening. Everyone likes me. Everyone is accepting of me. Allah loves me. What else matters at that point? Nothing matters at that point. Nothing matters at that point. So if we want to reach that point, then we just focus on the basics. That having adab throughout the day, that when I wake up, if I remember that lecture, I remember that I give charity by praying Salat al-Duha. So after Salat al-Fajr, I wait till sunrise. Then 15 minutes later, I pray 2 rak'at and Salat al-Duha. That's me giving my charity for every joint in my body. If you guys remember that hadith, right? That I give my charity. I wake up. This is how I wake up. This is how I remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when I eat with my right hand and I eat from what's near to me. And I don't rush. I pace myself. If you guys remember, I gave a lecture on rushing and eating too quickly. I think a lecture or two ago, that I pace myself when I understand that this is how I am as a Muslim, that even when I'm eating simply. I'm not eating too much. I'm not eating excessively. I'm not eating leaving my brother hungry next to me. SubhanAllah, so many people do this. I'm not eating with leaving my brother or sister next to me hungry. I'm not doing this, that we're eating together. Even if it's little, we share it. Even if it's little, we share it. We share it. Even if it's a small muffin, we break that muffin, we take a piece, and we all share that muffin. This is how we are. That we have manners, even in just eating. What else? I said working, when we're at work, that we have adab, we have etiquettes towards working with our managers, working with our employees, working with those people who report to us, having etiquette throughout the workplace, that we go there well presented, that we're courteous, we pull the door, we hold the door for them, we don't let them hold the door for us, we hold the door for them. If you guys remember my lecture, I talked about that director who came and he held the door for everybody. We hold the door, we don't let anyone else hold the door, right? After we make wudu in the sink, we wipe the sink area clean, that we don't want them to say a Muslim guy came and he made wudu and he did some stuff with the water and now his foot was in the sink and there's water all over the place. We don't want that. We want them to say, wow, his foot was in the sink, but it looked like nothing happened. It's so clean. It's so well kept. He wiped everything away. It's fine. Put your foot in the sink again. No problem. That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to hear. We have manners even when we're working in our workplace. With family activities, that we have adab, that often we're forgetting this. We're forgetting how to have adab, that we have etiquettes, we have respect toward our older siblings, toward our parents, toward our cousins, our aunts and our uncles, that we respect them, we show them love. And the younger ones, we have more love and mercy towards them, right? And we teach them how to have adab, that we're respectful, that we don't speak up too much, we don't speak too loudly, we control our voice, we control our anger, we control our frustrations, and we carry ourselves out with etiquette. This is important. This is basic stuff. And if you do this throughout the day, you'll realize how much of an impact or how different it is in your life, how much of a difference you're having in your life. And then the last few points, prayer and fasting. These are the things you have to do. just mandatory things. And Hajj, of course, which is from the money, right? But if you're already broke, don't worry about it. You're exempt. Ask your scholar or in your local area to understand if you're exempt or not from zakat. But in terms of prayer and fasting, that's for everybody. That's for everybody. That look just 5 times a day, guys. Just 5 times a day. We can do it. Just 5 times a day we do it, and we maintain our behavior. We maintain our character. We can be like that Bedouin who ran away saying, all I will do is his 5 prayers to the Prophet Muhammad. He ran away like, if this is what gets me to Jannah, that's all I'm going to do. And then he ran away. It's like, that's what I'm going to do. Prophet said, if he actually does this, he will go to Jannah. But if you and I actually do these things, just the basic things, just having etiquette, just how we wake up, how we go to sleep, how we're with our friends, how we're with our family, how we're at work. If we just do these things, basic things, and we just pray and we fast. Ramadan is coming up. Get ready to fast. It's the month of Sha'ban. Practice fasting right now if you can. Ramadan is coming up, so it's important. Take advantage. Don't miss out on Ramadan. Don't miss out on Sha'ban, right? Take advantage of these months. Take advantage of what's coming your way and just do these basic steps. If you and I can do these basic steps, inshallah, we can be among those people in Jannah without any noise. With no noise, no frustration, no worry, no backbiting. None of that stuff I was talking about. Free from all of that, inshallah. May we be among those people. Allahumma ameen. With that, we'll conclude, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, everyone who has been part of this series. Again, Allah reward everyone who's been consistent. Those of us who could not be consistent but wanted to, Allah reward you for your intentions. Even those of us who are following through online, may Allah reward all of you for joining. And again, remember, everything you are rewarded on is based on the intention. So no matter how good of a job you think you're doing or how bad of a job you think you're doing, if you have sincere intention and Allah accepts it, if Allah accepts it, that's all you and I need. That's all you and I. It doesn't matter how many people approve it, how many people say, how many people like it, how many people dislike it. It doesn't matter. If Allah accepts it, that's all we need, inshallah, right? And that's all we want. That's all we want. So with that, we'll conclude, inshallah. If you guys have any feedback for us, let us know. Message the MSA Dearborn UMD. You have the Instagram, you have their Facebook. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're on their Instagram. So let us know if you have any feedback, inshallah, of how we can improve. I'm sure I've made some mistakes. Let me know what those mistakes were, inshallah, so I can improve on those on myself. With that, we'll conclude, inshallah. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Jazakallahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.